Greetings, family. I'm on today with this Halston vintage hat because they just don't make them like this no more. I feel like I'm in pimp mode right now, but this hat is everything, isn't it? Look at that. Y'all could do one eye. Church ladies would be envious, okay? But I'm on today because today's topic is, look, I got this written down. Today's topic is attention calling all multifaceted Africans home. That's a good one, isn't it? I'm going to say it again. Attention, calling all multifaceted Africans home. And for those of you who may not be familiar with the word faceted or multi, I'm going to explain that. I actually have a very good family member, a sister friend of mine, and her name is multi-faceted-Shaye. And I was going to say calling all multi-talented, calling all professional, but I said, you know what? Multifaceted is it. Because multi, as we know, means multiples or many, and faceted, this is the best part, refers to the sides of a gem. I was like, that's it. Because we're all gems, right? And some of us are diamonds in the rough. Some of us are diamonds. Some of us are rubies. Some of us are cubic zirconias, which is not a bad thing because a black man invented the cubic zirconia, if you didn't know. Okay? So our topic today is so interesting, though. It's just what it says, right? Calling you home with all of the different talents that you might have, or all of the different training, because the continent is in need of every side of you, right? All the positive sides of you. Some of y'all need some healing, so that's a whole nother story. I'm sure that you are multi-talented as well, but until you heal, you don't need to be going nowhere. If you're still battling yourself and battling other people and saying how much you dislike folks and you can't get along with people, you probably don't need to come to the continent unless you're ready to love and open your heart. Because brothers and sisters on the continent are loving and they are welcoming. And you need to take all those defenses down in order to be able to move about productively. Okay? So I'm going to get back on topic. So as far as the multifaceted go, I said, I'm going to start y'all off, right? And I'm going to give a shout out to my sister Global Green Book because I always remember her doing a show where she said, I need y'all to boast about yourselves. And that's something we don't do. So since we're going to talk about being multifaceted, this gives us the opportunity to boast about ourselves and show how many hats, right, you wear. The hats are going to represent all of your different talents. So this will be a good exercise for you to do with your children, to let them show you how smart they are, how intelligent they are, how many different things they can do. It'd be like put on a hat for every talent you have, right? So I'm going to start. I'm going to show y'all what it looks like. So if we're talking about how multifaceted I am, we're going to start with being a mom. So I saved the best hat for that, right? You know, you got that. Look at that. Ooh, it got that twist of chocolate brown, like a muddy brown, and then tan and cream. Yes, it's for sale in my shop. Y'all know how I do. Poshmark. Then I got another one, which is really cool. This one is going to be for the artist in me, because I'm an artist, right? I've had a uh, art gallery. I've had a greeting card line that I sold nationally. I paint on canvas. I painted murals. I've painted gifts for, buildings and dedications and all sorts of things. So that's the artist part of me. So we're going to look, I got another one. Look at that. That's not bad either. That's a nice one. Okay. The next one is for the poet in me. Yes, I write poetry, adult poetry. There's that. Well, that's kind of fly too. Look at that with the brim. Well, let me turn it because y'all need to see this bow. Let me tell you, all of these hats are for sale. That's why I have them. Then we have short stories and scripts for plays. I've done short stories. I write short stories and scripts. I've written scripts for plays, and I'm not saying scrimps, y'all, because we know some of y'all say scrimps. Scripts, SCRIPTS. When we had plays in college, I wrote scripts about some of the racism that was taking place on campus, things that people did not want to address, okay? DIY. I'm going to blow your mind with this one. Look at that. Ooh, ooh. I'm going to put that tag away so y'all don't see that. That's new. So there's a tag for that one. I think that should go to the side. I think y'all get the point. So the DIY thing is deep because any house that I've ever owned or lived in, I painted from top to bottom because I felt no one was going to do the job that I wanted, right? I can do faux copper ceilings. I can do leather techniques on walls. It's called a glazed technique. I've painted wood floors and made them look like water, right? I've finished wood floors with the polyurethane, and you shellac the floor and you have to sand it. I've handled the machines. I've laid tile. I lay tile on fireplaces. I've hung shelves. Yeah, I'm that woman. Ain't nothing basic about it, okay? Um, for the DIY stuff, we're gonna move to mobile home investor. Yes, I have training in mobile homes. Yes, I have training in mobile homes. I have training in flipping real estate. I have an architecture, high school architecture, a technical diploma that I received from Brooklyn Technical High School. So I'm trained to draw up floor plans. Um, so look, I'm out of hats, y'all. I'm out of hats, but I think y'all get my point, right? So I'm gonna take these off, and I'm just gonna keep this one on because you know that one there is like, let's do a little spin on that. Get that going. Okay. The next thing is fashion. I've always loved fashion. From the time when I was in college, like all of my college friends will tell you that when you came into my room, I had pictures of all of the brown models that Vogue had in their magazine, and I would hang them. My walls were papered with Vogue models and Essence models and Jet models, and not the ones in the bathing suits, only the sisters that were fully dressed, because I just had a love for clothes. I always have. But somehow I never got caught up in the whole designer thing. I never supported designers that did not support our communities. So I was never interested in like Tommy and Timberland and what was the other ones? Louis Vuitton and Gucci. I had no interest in any of those. I never understood how our people got so caught up in companies like that who didn't care about our communities. I knew people who would spend their rent money on bags. That whole keeping up with the Jones thing. I was never into that. If my friends worked at a Coach store and they got me a discount, then I might, I liked Coach because it was just plain brown leather. They were never really caught up in any controversy. That's about it. I never went past with the nonsense. I was never caught up on labels and names because, that's that Western mindset sucking you in to compete. And we shouldn't be competing with each other. So I had never had interest in that. But I always supported designers in my community, right? I grew up in Brooklyn around Mashud, who designed for Isaac Hayes and Jill Scott and Erica Badu, for Brother Raif, designers like that. There was even some brothers called Malkaija that had a haberdashery. They made hats. So I did some work for them. I used to model for them. So from the fashion, that went into modeling because people would stop me and ask me, are you interested in modeling? There's another hat, right? Here we go. So another talent. And now I do the online stores, and I'm going to be looking to promote my online stores on the continent. I'll be looking for models for that, right? Because there's just things to do. So more hats. Um, Then we have, just if you know me, then you know I'm a resource bank, right? There's like nothing you can ask me that I cannot give you the answer to or refer you to the right party to get what you need. I'm that person. So when I come on people's pages and I give them, I make a comment, I'm not coming from the perspective of trying to be negative. I'm not trying to be judgmental, but I'm like, yeah, I know somebody who's doing that. You might want to hook up with that individual because I believe we are all supposed to be connected to lift each other up. So I'm that person, right? And I have a lot of resources just because of people I know, people I've connected with, people I've done work for. I've been blessed in that way. And I have no problem sharing that blessing with people who I know are going to respect my contacts and treat them well because my contacts are not just meant for me, but they're meant for people that are going to come along that I need to assist, right? So I'm very careful and I preserve my people and I treat them well. And I expect the people that I refer them to do the same. Okay. So definitely a resource bank. Traveler. I had to sit down and think about, like, I'm not even going to talk about where I've been in the States because that's just not relevant as far as I'm concerned. But where I've been as far as the only place I'll mention in the States, or that's part of the United States, is Mexico, right? That's it. Cross the border type thing. So that's close. I've been to Mexico. I've been to Barbados. I've been to Trinidad and Tobago. And in case you didn't know, my dad's people are from Trinidad and Tobago. So that might explain why I have all these multiple hats, right? So Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Cancun, Jamaica. Been to Jamaica several times. That was actually one of my favorite vacation places before I went to Africa. And then we have Bahamas, of course. I've been to the Bahamas. I've been to a private island that, let's see, I think it's Carnival Cruise Lines owns, where they do the Nickelodeon cruise. They have a private island, and that's in the Caribbean somewhere. I also lived in England for 6 months. I've been to Spain 2 times. I've been to Germany, and I've been to Amsterdam. And I've been to Africa, as you all know. I went to Senegal 26 years ago. And then coming back, I went to Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Gambia. hmm And I'm also a certified fitness instructor. I worked at LA Fitness. I taught kickboxing, body sculpting, and body pump, as well as cycling. Yeah. I had cousins that boxed Golden Gloves, and I grew up boxing with them. So I didn't just jump off the couch and do karate flicks, but I also did Golden Gloves as well. Let's see. So this was funny because just when I was like, oh yeah, I think I named everything. There was more, y'all. There was more, and this is why I didn't have enough hats, right? So I worked as a track official because I ran track. So that's two, right? I was a track star, middle school, high school, and then I was a track official. And then I was a wrestling official for boys wrestling. So what I would do is weigh in the young people so that they could go into the proper weight class to make sure no one was getting hurt, that they were fighting in their proper weight classes. And I'm trained as a lawyer, some of you know. So I worked as a legal advocate. Um, and I still refer to myself as an advocate when people ask me what do I do, because I advocate for people who need a voice, people who don't have a voice. My last position I worked in was for elders that were being abused in nursing facilities. I was an investigator there. So that was an interesting position. I didn't really get to do the work that I had hoped to get to do with COVID because they shut everything down and we kind of were just pushing papers. And so that was disappointing. But that's the last work that I did. Also trained as a mediator. I'm trained in mediation. So I would mediate custody disputes, conflicts between spouses, that sort of thing. Trained as a social worker. That was my job from the time I came out of college until I went to law school. And that's how I worked and put myself through law school, working as a social worker. Being a social worker, I also became certified as a behavioral specialist. So I worked with children with autism and attention deficit disorder, ADD and ADHD. I'm also certified as a substance abuse counselor. So I've worked with people who had substance abuse problems, and I was able to train peers to work with them as well. And, on top of all of that, I worked as a foster mother, because how could I work in social services and not want to bring some of these babies home or give them some guidance, right? Well, how the idea of a child not having a home never rested well with me. And it was just some children that you saw had no one, and no one was coming for them. So I would, I got my license as a foster parent, got my home licensed, and I had gave them their own room, and I would make sure they got to see their families until their families got on their feet. And I only wanted to deal with children that looked like me, so all of the children that came to my home were children from African families. And it was a blessing to be able to help. I had about 4 or 5 children. I was even able to assist a family member who got into a problem one time, and I was blessed to be able to do that for this short time. Um, I think I mentioned, I said social work, certified behavioral specialist, certified substance abuse counselor, foster mom, entrepreneur. Like if you know me, you've been following my channel, I do multiple things. I'm multi-faceted, right? That's what this is all about. So definitely an entrepreneur, but I also have some business things that I'm working on when I get to the continent, with some contacts that I made there that I'm hoping will employ people and make life easier for folks on the continent and for us from the diaspora coming home. I was also I never actually worked in fast food per se, but I did supervise the cafe um, in on my college campus, right? It was called the Tea House, and I worked there. I met one of my very best friends, an elder who I'm still friends with to this day. I met her when I was working at the tea house. I cooked on the grill. I made huge, pots, cauldrons of oatmeal for like 100 girls. I worked on the breakfast crew, made sure they kept the kitchen clean. Um, it was an interesting experience. I even worked as a salesperson. Like I remember, being in shoe sales in Macy's in college, right? I also worked as a dental assistant. Yes, so I have a real big thing about oral hygiene. Like when I see people with muck on their teeth, then I'm like, no, you got to take care of that. Like, you got to take care of the teeth, because that is the thing that is with you for the rest of your days. And unfortunately, if you don't take care of them when you're younger, you will pay for it when you get older. So, yeah, dental assistant. I worked as a mental health outpatient therapist. I worked with sexualized children as well as adults and perpetrators of sexual crimes, as well as their spouses. So I worked on both ends of it. So I have a great deal of experience in that. All draining work, right? The social services stuff gives you compassion fatigue, and I'll be talking about that another time. But I loved my work. I was able to help people who may not have gotten the assistance had I been there, because I was the only person that looked like me in those forums. The other thing is I'm an inventor. I have some things that I'm having that I have copyrighted. I have some things that I'm working on to get trademarked. Um, so that's happening. I'm a loctician. I had locks for, oh boy, probably 20 years before I finally cut all my hair off. But I do my son's locks, and you all have seen his locks. He'll have a surprise to show, because I'm also a colorist. So I colored his hair again. I colored it the first time, and now I've done a color that he requested this time. So you all will get to see that at a later date. And now I am a YouTuber, right? I don't know if I'm an actual YouTuber, but I guess if I'm working on the YouTube platform, I'm considered a YouTuber. Um, and I'm a podcaster. Like, that's a lot. When I tell you, I don't even think I own enough hats for all of those different titles. But the point of this conversation is for you all to really do an assessment on yourselves, right? Do a full assessment of everything you've ever done and tally it up and look at how everything you've ever done has prepared you for this very moment, for this time in your life that you are about to take your multifaceted, healed self to the continent to present all these gifts to people who need them. There's a reason why you've done all that you've done. And there's a reason why the ancestors have called you to get yourself back home, because there's work to be done. Lots of work to be done. Lots of people who need your talents and your training and your understanding and your knowledge, your experience. So I do hope you all will at least go visit if you're not willing to go and live. And know that on the continent, you are given the option to be whatever you want to be, right? In the States, you stuck with, oh, you went to school for this, you better stay in school for that. Oh, you trained in that, you better stay in that field, right? There's no room for you to really do other things without losing the benefits of another thing, right? Or having one thing take up so much of your time that you're too exhausted to do the things that you really love. So please, be multifaceted, take an assessment, and get yourself back to the continent. All of you beautiful gems. Thank you.